Jay's question is up next. It says, how would you guys decide on whether to finance or buy a car in cash? We're 37, we're on step 8 of the FOO, and we have $100K in a taxable brokerage. A used car would take a nice chunk out of that at today's prices. So how do you think about this? And it's interesting, like he's on step 8, so he has some options here, right?
Yeah, let me go ahead and clarify this.
Okay.
The ideal way to buy a car, cash. I don't know where we got lumped into that we don't like paying cash for cars. I mean, it's the reality of when we do our surveys on our millionaires and even the way we live our own life, we pay cash for cars. Yep. The only exception is we know the financial mutant hack that sometimes with financing, when you're at a dealership, they'll offer you a few percent off the car if you keep the car financed for like 3 months. And if you're really a dork like I am with trying to get a good deal, I've taken that deal. But it was more of a tool than it was the need to use the financing. And if you're at step 8, that's one of the things is when you get to step 8 is that you are in those abundance goals. If you want a nicer car, that's great. But you've got to, as we always share when we do 23-8, people often overlook there's two distinct things besides putting 20% down, financing over 3 years, and making sure it doesn't exceed 8%. There's 2 other caveats that people sometimes overlook. First, your monthly investments have to exceed your car payment. And the second one is if it's luxury or a nice brand, you've got to pay it off same as cash. And that's the only reason I have that same as cash for the first few months is so you can play those financial mutant games reindeer games that I play, because I don't want to be a hypocrite with my rules. And I want to give you the freedom to do what I do with my money, but it's still the same as cash. Yep. And I think people lose that distinction sometimes.
Jay, the only thing I would throw out here that there was a little nuance inside your question is you said, I've got a taxable brokerage account with $100,000 in it. So when you're talking about paying cash, you're not actually, you are talking about paying cash, but what you're actually saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, is, hey, I could liquidate some of my portfolio and I could use some of my portfolio to then pay off the car in cash. That's different than what we often talk about paying a car in cash. What we often talk about is, am I in a financial situation? Am I so far into step 8 that in addition to my emergency reserves, I can build up cash, or I have built up cash to where without having to liquidate my portfolio, without having to sell assets, I can then go for the car? Because I would say whether or not at age 37 you could pay cash for the car, should pay cash for the car finance, is going to very much depend on where you are in your financial journey. How far along the path towards your number are you? Meaning, if you were to go pull out $50,000 of your $100,000 taxable brokerage account, and that was going to set you pretty far back, and it's going to take you a long time to rebuild back up that $50,000, maybe that's not the best bet. However, let's say that, if I just, saved for a few more months, I could save up another $50,000, or I could get to $50,000 and pay cash. Well, then you're in a different situation. So I think you have to be careful. A lot of us think, okay, just because I've got the portfolio assets there, that means that I have the means that I can go make some large purchase or buy some large thing. You have to recognize there is a significant cost with taking those dollars out of the equation. You want to make sure you're at the place in your journey where it does make sense to do that. Because at 37, your wealth multiplier is still super, super strong. I mean, I want to say it's still like well into the high teens, double-digit-ish area maybe. And if you want to know, you can go check out moneyguide.com/resources. Look at the wealth multiplier. I don't know that I love, Jay, liquidating the brokerage account of $100,000 to go buy a new car.
Well, and that brings me back to the key. What is 23-8 and why? Is because there's reasonable car to get you from point A to point B, and then there's luxury car. If all of a sudden buying the luxury car because you're in step 8 drags you all the way back to step 4, maybe it's not time for the luxury car yet. I mean, you're not, as you said it, I liked what you said. Maybe you're not deep enough into step 8 of the financial goals. And that's why we always say it's Corolla, not Land Cruiser, because we're trying to get people to get reliable transportation. That's what 23-8 is for, so you can get to your job and start the wealth building journey. It's not going to be your hack to luxury cars sooner and better to impress your friends who probably don't really care.